Danny Walsh wiped his hands on his apron and looked around the kitchen that had been assigned to him. Everything was spotless, to neat, to perfect. The counters had no knife marks. The ovens had never felt real fire. Even the air smelled filtered and lifeless. It made his skin crawl. "This is where they want me to cook," he muttered. His assistant, a floating orb named Pip, bobbed nervously beside him. The drone had been assigned to help him navigate Station Harmony, though its main function seemed to be preventing him from getting into trouble. "Chef Walsh," Pip chirped, "the galactic feast begins in 6 hours. The menu is prepared according to standard protocols. All meals are nutritionally balanced and synthesized to perfection." Danny picked up a sealed food packet. Gray paste. He squeezed it onto a plate and watched it settle into a perfect dough, odorless and uniform. "Back home, we'd call this prison food," he said. "I do not understand," Pip replied. "The nutritional value, it's got no soul, Pip, no story. Nobody's grandmother passed this down." Pip blinked uncertainly, lights dimming in confusion. Danny had learned that most species on the station had abandoned real cooking centuries ago. Cooking was primitive, slow, inefficient. Nutrition came in packets, paste, and perfectly engineered cubes. Earth had joined the galactic community only 3 years earlier. Humans hadn't yet given up their steaks, soups, or Sunday gumbo. Danny was about to complain again when distant screaming echoed down the corridor. Alarms followed. Red lights pulsed along the ceiling. Pip spun anxiously. "Chef Walsh, we must evacuate." Danny was already moving. He rounded a corner and stopped dead. An 8-foot creature with 6 powerful legs smashed through a storage room wall. Its body was covered in heavy armor plates. For glowing eyes scanned the hallway. 3 rows of jagged teeth filled a mouth designed to shred anything unfortunate enough to be nearby. "Ravager," someone shouted. "Seal the section." Security arrived, weapons humming, but hands shaking. Ravagers had killed 3 workers in the past month. Nothing short of heavy artillery could stop one. Commander Loritor, blue-skinned and jointed in ways that made Danny uncomfortable, barked orders. "Containment team, where are they? We need sedation protocols now." The Ravager turned, nostrils flaring, and began lumbering toward the station kitchens. Danny studied the creature. Thick plating, heavy muscle, a familiar gait, oddly like a scaled-up alligator. His grandmother's voice whispered from memory, "Everything's got a soft spot, Danny boy. You just have to know where to look." "Chef Walsh." Pip floated at his shoulder. "We must run." "Not from my own kitchen," Danny said. He walked back inside, opened a drawer, and pulled out the sharpest knife he could find. Pip's voice jumped an octave. "What are you doing?" "My job." The Ravager crashed through the entrance, sending trays flying. It spotted Danny, confused for a heartbeat as to why this small human wasn't running. Then it charged. Danny had 3 seconds. He grabbed a container from the counter and flung it at the creature's face. It blinked, instinctive, minuscule, and exactly what he needed. He stepped inside its swing, ducked low, and drove the blade into the gap between its neck plates, the same spot a gator was weakest. The Ravager thrashed violently, but Danny held on, letting the creature's own momentum tear through the wound. 30 seconds later, the beast collapsed. Danny exhaled, wiped his blade on its armor, and rolled his shoulders like he'd just finished chopping onions. Security burst in and froze at the sight of one human and one very dead apex predator. Commander Lorik stared. "You killed it." "Yeah." Danny knelt beside the carcass, running a hand along the armor. "And now I'm going to cook it." Silence. "You intend to do what?" Lorik asked. "It's fresh." Danny shrugged. "Would be a waste. That is a ravager. Its toxin glands can kill half the species on this station." "Then I won't use the toxin glands," Danny said, already pulling out his personal knife set. "I came here to show the galaxy what human cooking is about. And sometimes that means turning the thing that wants to kill you into dinner." Pip made a noise like a computer crashing. Lorik, the council, and half the station made worse noises. Danny ignored all of them. He had a feast to prepare. Danny worked with calm, practiced efficiency. Armor plates came off cleanly. Meat beneath was pale and surprisingly well marbled. He set aside the toxin glands, triple-bagged for disposal. More officials arrived. Some gagged, some fainted, some argued violently. Ambassador Trill of the Meraxian Collective rippled with disgust. "This is barbaric." Danny didn't look up. "It attacked my kitchen. That makes it food." The council tried to summon him. Danny refused. They came to him instead. Eventually, Commander Lorik made a decision. "Chef Walsh, you may prepare the Ravager, but you will taste it first. If you survive the dish, it may be served." Danny grinned. "Deal." For hours later, 7 different Ravager dishes lined the counter. Roasts, stews, ribs, fillets, a deep-seared tenderloin that smelled like something. Between venison and good barbecue, the scent drew half the station outside the kitchen. Danny took the first bite. He chewed thoughtfully. "Tastes like alligator with a hint of venison," he said. "Pretty good." Lorik tried next. His face shifted through shock, then delight. "This is extraordinary." Soon, aliens from species that had never touched real meat lined up to sample the dish. Even synthesized food societies couldn't resist. Danny Walsh had done the unthinkable. He had cooked the galaxy's nightmares and made them delicious. 3 days later, Danny was famous. He hated every second of it. Pip informed him that 17 planets were requesting interviews. The station had begun delivering Ravager carcasses like fresh produce. He turned the station's pest problem into its most popular restaurant. He was breaking down his 12th Ravager of the week when new alarms shrieked different alarms. The council called an emergency meeting. There Danny met Speaker Bloom of the Vin Collective. Their world, Vin Prime, was being devoured by shredder swarms, billions of thumb-sized insects that consumed anything. Organic. Plants, animals, buildings, even certain metals. 3 months left before the planet was uninhabitable. The council argued about energy shields, bombardments, relocations, but nothing had worked. Danny studied the swarm footage. The shredders moved like a single organism. Waves, patterns, pulsing flows. Predictable. Speaker Bloom trembled. "They kill our children. They destroy everything." Danny asked one question. Have you tried eating them? Dead silence. Trill practically exploded. You cannot solve every problem by cooking it. Danny folded his arms, worked with the Ravagers. Speaker Bloom stared at him, desperate. Will you come to Vin Prime? Danny nodded. Pack me a ship. Vin Prime looked peaceful from orbit. Blue oceans, lush continents. But as the transport descended, devastation unfolded. Forests stripped bare, cities reduced to shells. Swarms of shredders darkened the sky. Inside the last surviving domed city, Danny met Vin scientists and survivors. Their food stores were nearly gone. Show me the shredders, he said. At the observation post. He donned a protective suit coated in a temporary repellent and stepped outside. Within minutes, he collected samples and brought them inside for analysis, under proper lighting. The creatures resembled armored locusts. 70% protein, Danny noted. Low toxicity, easy to clean. Root. The Vin biologist stared. This is a plague. This, Danny corrected, is a resource. Danny requested help from Earth. Soon he had a team. Rita, invasive species expert. Carlos, locust plague specialist. Sue, marine biologist with swarm behavior background of her days. They mapped the swarm cycles and discovered a peak spawning period every 7 days. When they're spawning, Danny said, they're vulnerable. Harvesting began. Humans in protective gear used modified vacuums to collect thousands of shredders per minute carefully, sustainably. Systematically. 10 tons collected the first day. Then Danny needed to make the Vin able to eat them. He experimented with roasting, boiling, grinding. The Vin palate was delicate. What humans found flavorful, they found overwhelming. What the Vin enjoyed, Danny found bland. The breakthrough came with a local medicinal plant that neutralized bitterness and enhanced absorption. Speaker Bloom tasted the final dish as the entire dome watched. Their shell glowed gold. It is good. Vin children tried it next. When a young Vin named Petal asked for seconds, the dome erupted in joyous humming. The Vin began to reclaim their world. 6 weeks later, swarms were reduced. Harvesting stations operated safely. Vin children played outside the domes again. Speaker Bloom said, "You have given us our future." Danny replied, "You gave it to yourselves. You just needed a different perspective." But word traveled fast. When Danny returned to Station Harmony, 43 worlds had sent requests. Not everyone approved. Ambassador Trill called for a formal inquiry. He claimed humanity was reintroducing primitive predation into the galaxy. Danny sat in the center of the council chamber, listening. Trill thundered, "You normalize violence. You turn killers into cuisine." Danny answered calmly, "I don't normalize violence. I contextualize it. Predation exists whether you approve of it or not. I just show people how to understand it." Speaker Bloom arrived unexpectedly. 3 months ago, my people faced extinction. No technology, no diplomacy, no shield could save us. This human did. Not by killing, but by teaching us to adapt. Representative after representative voiced support. Finally, Danny offered something radical. A feast created with ingredients and techniques from 20 worlds, cooked together, a demonstration of unity. Even Trill tasted it. "This is well prepared," the council voted. Humanity was accepted into full Galactic Council membership. 6 months later, Danny stood before a sprawling new building on Station Harmony. A sign above the entrance read, "The Galactic Culinary Institute in 70 languages. Species from across the galaxy enrolled. Humans, Vin, Arvane, silicon-based beings, and more." Danny stood in the main hall. "We're not here just to teach cooking," he said. "We're here to teach perspective. Classes covered ecology, population management, swarm behavior, foraging, synthesis improvement, and, of course, cooking techniques from dozens of worlds. Shared meals broke down barriers faster than any treaty. Even Trill began taking private lessons, learning to prepare his people's photosynthetic nutrients in new ways. The Institute became a movement. Requests poured in to build similar institutes on distant worlds. Danny always answered the same way. "This belongs to all of us now." At the end of semester feast, species who had once feared one another sat together, laughing, eating, sharing techniques and traditions. Lorik raised a glass. "A toast to Chef Walsh. You have taught us to see each other differently." Danny looked around at the roaring hall students. Ambassadors, engineers, hunters, and pacifists, all mingling like old friends. Pip floated beside him. "Chef Walsh, how did you do it?" Danny smiled. "I didn't. We did. All of us together." Outside the window, the galaxy glittered billions of worlds. Billions of problems. Some would need armies. Some would need diplomacy. And some, it turned out, would need a good chef. Danny cleaned his knives. The tools that started everything. His grandmother would have been proud. Tomorrow, new students would arrive. And Danny Walsh would teach them the same lesson he had taught the galaxy. Fear shrinks when you understand it. Challenges change when you look at them differently. And almost anything, with enough care and enough courage, is just ingredients.